What's up, YouTube world? Hope everybody is doing great out there. I just wanted to take a minute today and make a quick video just talking about the different Canon lenses that I own and explaining the stories behind those, how I got them, why I have them. Maybe it'll give you some tips or some ideas on lenses that you may need, or maybe it'll give you a better idea of whether a lens is worth it to you or not. I've kind of arranged them by age, because I felt like that would be a fun way to do it. So we're gonna start off first with my first ever 18 to 55. It's EFS 18 to 55. I believe that's the second model of this lens. Now this lens, this is my oldest lens that I have today. It's not the oldest lens, like it's not the first lens that I ever got with my camera. So when my parents first bought me a DSLR, it was for my 15th or 16th birthday, somewhere around there. And it came with a Canon a Sigma 28 to 135. That was a great lens, but I eventually decided that I needed something a little bit wider, which is why the 18 to 55, because that was the cheapest option at the time. And I actually got this one from my yearbook teacher. She sold it to me for I think like 60 bucks because the autofocus was broken. So I had to learn to manual focus and keep my fingers out of the frame. But yeah, I remember when I first got this doing portraits and just being right up close to people. I just thought it was amazing. It was a lot of fun. So really great lens. I've kept it around all these years because you never know. Like I loaned it to a friend. My friend Matt actually had it for like a year or more, I think. And you know, I wasn't expecting him to give it back. I didn't really care if I got it back or not, but he did, and so it's still with me. All right, up next, classic nifty 50. Now, you might be looking at this and going, that's the RF version. How could that be like your second oldest lens? And the reason for that, I'll explain here in a second. But basically, this is a lens that everybody ought to have in their kit. It is the second lens that I got after my 28 to 135. I actually got it before this, but not this one. So how to explain this? I think I've had 4 nifty 50s in my photography career, which is about 13 years or so. And the first one, it was that plastic model. I think it was also the V2 of the EF 50 1.8. It was plastic, and I was on a trip to Kentucky, and a friend bumped into a car, and the front, like middle part of the lens actually just popped out. And I was kind of able to make it work. I used it for some weird artistic effects of like holding it up and, you know, getting some sort of weird like tilt shift kind of focus. Yeah, so that didn't work too great. And then eventually I bought another copy of that lens. I think it came with a kit with a bunch of lenses and a separate camera. Ended up selling most of it just to make the money back, and kept a couple of the lenses because they just wanted to sell it as a big kit. So eventually got rid of that one when I was at a thrift store in Arkansas. I found a 35mm film Canon camera, but it was after the EF line had started. So it had the original 50 1.8 metal, you know, full metal construction 50 1.8 for the Canon, and it came with that camera for about 35 bucks, somewhere around there. So I went ahead and bought that because the metal body of that lens, I don't think the version 3 had been released yet. Anyway, fast forward to about 2 weeks ago or so, I was just browsing Facebook Marketplace, and I'd been wanting to get the RF because I have the Canon R6 that I'm shooting this on right now, and the Canon RP. And so I'd been wanting to get the RF version, but I couldn't quite justify it. Anyway, I was browsing Facebook Marketplace, and I saw this guy had one listed, the RF version of the 50 1.8, and he had accidentally bought it along with a Canon, I think T6 or something like that, which is an EF mount camera. So he couldn't use it at all, and he was just looking for a straight across trade. And, you know, I felt a little bad, but he was happy with it, I was happy with it. So I swapped him that 50mm 1.8 original version 1. Great lens, still in great shape with the filter on there, the UV filter. Kept that on there for protection all the time. Yeah, just swapped him straight across, and now I have the RF version, which works a lot better with these cameras, faster autofocus, things like that. And mostly I just like it because I don't have to use the adapter. All right, moving on, lens number 3. Got this one a couple years ago. This is a 100mm f2.8. Yeah, pretty solid lens there. I got this one because I was wanting to get into product photography, and I didn't have a lens with a longer range like that to get everything at the like proper focal length for doing product photography. Mine were all a little bit wider, and so I was browsing Facebook Marketplace again. Great place to buy lenses if that's what you're looking for. And I found a guy who had it for, I think, $250 or something like that. And not trying to be rude or anything, but I just didn't have a lot of money to spend on a lens at the time. I hadn't had any product photography clients yet. I just wanted to learn so that I could get some clients. This lens has definitely paid itself off for that. So I actually messaged him and I was like, hey, would you take 150? You know, I was like, it's no big deal. If not, you know, I wasn't too worried about it. And he's like, no, I can't. I need 200 minimum or something. I was like, okay, well, I'm sorry, I don't really have the money to spend right now on this. And you know, like I think 2 or 3 days later I had forgotten about it. He messaged back and he's like, okay, I'll do 150 if you can meet me like tomorrow at noon or something. And I was like, okay, sure, why not? So ended up only spending 150 for this lens. I think normally now it's about 300 used, and I'm actually about to sell this one, and I'll explain that in just a minute. So the next lens that I got is actually this guy right back here. Not the camera body. This is the Sigma 18-35. I got this for the video production side of my business because this lens looks fabulous on a micro four thirds sensor. I don't know what it is, but it is just so sharp and clean. It just looks amazing. And so I love having this lens, and it never comes off this body pretty much. This is Zcam E2 M4. Maybe one of these days I'll do a review video on that. Great lens. Picked that one up on sale around Christmas time from B&H for about 550 bucks. I think used it still goes for about 600. So steal of a lens, but you can find it on a deal, so be on the lookout for that. The next lens is the one that I'm shooting this video on right here. This is my 16-35 f2.8L series 1, original series. Picked this one up on eBay for $350, $375, somewhere around there. Really economical for this lens. And I got this one really because I wanted to do YouTube, I wanted to do vlogs, things like that. And it's nice to have that lower f-stop and the focal range there. So that's the story behind that one. Not a whole lot going on there, but I did get a really good deal on eBay for that one. Up next, we have the brand new Canon 24-105 RF. This is the, what is it, 3.5, no, 4 to f7.1. Outrageous aperture on this thing. It's ridiculous, right? But the new cameras, they can shoot at, you know, a much higher ISO and not be so bad. So even if you're at that full length and you need the 7.1, it's not terrible. Still, it's not the greatest thing ever, but this lens came with my Canon R6 when I bought it off of B&H used, and it was cheaper than if I had bought, you know, just the camera body at the time by itself. So that to me was worth it, and I like having that range plus the image stabilizer on this thing. Really nice for video. Decent all-around lens. I would say it's worthwhile. Not my favorite lens by any means. I definitely want to get the f4 model eventually, but that'll be down the road one of these days. And last but not least, this is the latest lens I have purchased. This is the Canon RF 85mm f2. I don't know if you can see that there. This lens pairs so nicely with this camera for product photography, for portraits, for anything like that. And really, that's the reason that I'm going to be selling the 100mm, because this 85mm, basically anytime those things come up, I don't even reach for this lens anymore. It sits up on the shelf up here. And yeah, so now the 85mm has replaced it. Has image stabilizer, gets all the way down to f2. You got your different focal ranges right there. this lens is amazing. Now I did have to kind of pre-order it and wait like months to get this lens, but if you can get your hands on it for 600 bucks, I think it is the best lens you can get for the price. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, this is the only lens I think I've ever paid full price for, except maybe another nifty 50 that I bought brand new because I needed it on the spot, you know. Yeah, so probably the only lens that I've ever paid full price for, but definitely worth it. So that is my lens lineup. Let me know if you have any questions about any of these lenses, and if you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash like, maybe drop me a subscribe so we can hang out again sometime. But yeah, basically overall, if you're new to photography, get yourself a nifty 50. If you've been in the world for a little while, maybe a 16 to 35 is a good option, or a Canon 85 f2 if you're in the RF world and you're looking to do product photography or portraits. Highly recommend those. And if you're more of a video person, this Sigma 18 to 35 1.8, amazing lens. Now just remember that it is a crop lens, so you need it for a crop body camera, or you put your camera in crop mode. So if that's a problem for you, then just be aware of that. But yeah, overall, those are probably my favorite lenses. The 100mm, great option as well if you can pick one up kind of cheap. 18 to 35, it's just a classic. Use it, learn it. Yeah, that's about it, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Hopefully that's the one where I tell you the story about what's been happening for the last few months or so. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.